Welcome to the Sexless Marriage, 7 reasons why you may not be having sex in your marriage for weeks, months, or years. I'm Dr. Doug Weiss, and I've been counseling couples for almost 30 years. We do 3 and 5 day intensives. People fly from all over the country. I've helped repair sexuality inside of marriages that have not had sex in 5, 10, 15, and 20 years. So I'm going to quickly go through 7 reasons why you may not be having sex inside your marriage. Now, the first thing I want to say before I get into that is, if you are the spouse who wants to have sex, who wants to have intimacy, who wants to connect, and you feel like you're begging, it's not your fault. Every one of these things I'm going to talk about, every one of them, all 7, have nothing to do with you. This would have happened no matter who they married, no matter who you were. It's not about your body, your height, your weight, how this is done, how much money you make, or any of those issues. I'm going to surprise you with some things. So please hang out for the whole several minutes we have. I'm going to quickly go through these. And you may need to do some more research on one of these topics if that's the topic that is why you are not having sex in your marriage. Number 1 is what we call intimacy anorexia. Intimacy anorexia is the active withholding of emotional, spiritual, and sexual intimacy from the spouse. Everyone else thinks that person's wonderful. Let me give you the characteristics real quickly. They're too busy for you. They blame you for the problems in relationships. They withhold love, especially the way you like to be loved. They withhold praise. They withhold sex, or they're disconnected during the sex act. They withhold spiritually. They're unwilling or unable to share their feelings with you. They use anger and silence as a way to control in the relationship. They have ongoing or ungrounded criticism of you. They may control around money issues, but you'll feel like a roommate. If those characteristics apply to your situation, definitely go to intimacyanorexia.com, look at the materials there, look at the tests there, and see if that's you. Because if you're married and alone, you know it, you ache. It's like a dry sponge inside it that your spouse won't put any oil on. And you've begged, you've done all kinds of stuff. There's hope for this, but that might be the reason. Number 2, sex addiction. If a man or woman has attached their neural pathways to the fantasy world, the porn world, or others, they will protect that world and they will forsake you. Their drive and desire for you will drop significantly, and sometimes they won't even be able to be sexual without going to a fantasy state. They can't open their eyes and actually look at you. If someone has a sex addiction, they've probably tried to quit. They have a secret emails in cache, and they act out with others or self. Most of the times, masturbation and pornography, the number 1 aspect of sexual addiction. And you've probably had talks about this again and again. If they have a sexual addiction, I'm a recovering sex addict. I've been sober for 30 years. No masturbation, no porn, no sex outside of marriage. I take a polygraph to verify that. My whole team is clean. We do intensives for that. That can be dealt with. There's support groups all over the country. There's lots of help, but get information on that. Number 3, this one's not heard of most often, so you're going to have to do some research. Schizoid, Schizoid, Schizoid Personality Disorder. This is someone who has a personality disorder. Now, I'm a psychologist, and disorder just means, for some reason, their soul has organized in this way. They tend to do things alone. They don't have long-term close relationships of the same gender. They don't really desire close relationships. They don't desire sex. They don't get pleasure out of activities. They're not really feeling good about life in general. If you meet them, they kind of look kind of flat, really kind of not present with you, aloof. And if someone gives them criticism or praise, they're not really, doesn't matter to them. They're kind of indifferent. They're kind of the loner wolf person. And if that's them, definitely do some research on that, because that is something that you want to definitely get some professional help with, just like the sex addiction, just like the intimacy anorexia. Depression can be for all kinds of reasons. It can be grief. It can be physical. Your brain's not producing enough stuff, or your brain's just not working correctly. It also can be emotional reasons for depression, failures, abuse that you haven't talked about. Sexual abuse that's not dealt with can also lead to depression, okay? And 80% of those with sexual addiction have sexual abuse. So without making it 8, we could easily say that sexual abuse is part of a possibility why sex is not happening in your relationship. Depression. Number 5, low thyroid. This is something you go to your doctor, get a blood test. If your thyroid is low, you don't really want sex, whether you're a man or a woman. They'll probably prescribe something for you, and that'll help boost your energy back up, and you'll feel a lot better. Number 6, low testosterone for women and men. Women, if you're in late 30s, 40s, 50s, and your sex drive has dropped down, get your testosterone checked. I've had clients, that was the only problem she had. As soon as she got it fixed, she wanted to have sex again. And the same with men. Men, if you got that belly fat hanging around your belt, and that's where you gain your weight, go see your doctor, see if you got low testosterone. If you do, there's plenty of clinics that can help you with that. But it can definitely be a factor into why you're not having sex, and it's one of the most fixable, quick things to get done. You might just have a miscommunication about your sex language. I wrote a book called The 5 Sex Languages, and working with couples over these almost 3 decades, I've learned that people have a different sex language. So you might need to find out what the sex language is of your spouse and of you, and then talk about how to work that out. You really do deserve to have an awesome sex life. It may take you work, it may take you getting information, and it may take an intensive. It may take you making a phone call and reaching out to get some help where you are. But whatever it is, I want to give you hope. I have seen couples literally in my office who've not had sex for 20 years, for 10 years, and within weeks of what I prescribed for them to do, they were able to have a great sex life and they liked each other again. So if you're living married alone, if you're living a sexless marriage, I want to encourage you, take the next step. I hope this was helpful.